Hello and welcome to the KMTRADERS channel. We're going to have a look at all the potential profit entries that we could have made through our analysis from previous analysis. So yeah, we're just going to start off by looking through all the pairs, and we'll just give you a brief description of how we could have entered, or how you could have entered for the analysis. So yeah, let's go with so first pair, so GBPUSD. Now we had the intention that we wanted to test the upper zone here in red. However, we didn't obviously fail to get that. We failed to push higher than our key level here, our weekly key level, and that was at 1.2488. If you was to check back in the analysis for GBPUSD last week, this line would have obviously still be there, so I've not just drawn it in. But yeah, as we can see, it rejected it 4 times before the market turned away. So obviously, instinctively, I knew that through that, this is a key area of where market is rejecting and potentially could head lower. The market zone here that we had in red is the ultimate price, where we believe price will determine if price does reach there. However, these scenarios can occur where our monthly key levels do show immediate signs of rejection. Like to me, this here is just screaming at me like that this is a rejection. And what also is key here is that if we did a miniature sub retracement here, a fib retracement here, sorry, it almost comes to the what's it called, the 50% margin. So with all the confluences, so we have the 50% margin on the fib, including previous resistance and the weekly resistance level. Like, all these confluences would scream to me that this is a selling condition. RSI doesn't really help here, but the EMAs are started to slightly converge over, so another indicator form to help with the bias. So yeah, so obviously that could have been a potential sell-off here through our weekly key level that we got drawn. So if that was if you decided to take this as a possible entry, could have potentially made about 200 pips if you was to hold it all the way down to the swing low. So yeah, so that is a potential trade with that. Now moving on with Euro USD. So we had this anticipation that we was waiting for market to touch the top or the bottom zones here. Now with Euro USD, it had been very choppy for a while. It couldn't make sense of the market, so this is why I didn't want to say instantly that we was in an immediate downtrend. So right now we have broken down this zone level here, and as you can see, there is a form of rejection and momentum is still going downwards. So potentially in the weekly analysis video for the up and coming week, we could look into this and potentially see if this can continue downwards. So unfortunately, we couldn't. It was quite hard to kind of justify if we were to go up here, but however, if you did manage to go up, could have made a 30 pip profit. That is if this analysis works. So price was to touch into this zone and then push to the upside. So it roughly made 30 pips in profit if you were to take that. Now, obviously, price fell through. The market is technical analysis doesn't always hold through all the time. That's something that a big misconception with other traders is that through their technical analysis that it should be respected all the time, and not necessarily. This is what trading is about. It's about probability, and the fact that we were in a choppy situation, it was quite hard to understand if this is a ranging market or a long-term pause before the downside is created. So right now, you could arguably say that our analysis was correct to some degree if you're ratio is a 3 to 1, you could have had a 10 pip stop loss and a 30 pip reward. So a 3 to 1 there. However you play the game, that's how it is. But nonetheless, people would have profited from that move, but equally people would have profited down below. So yeah, so it's quite hard to say, but not exactly profitable through the signal that we provided. So fortunately, not exactly a great move or prediction with the EURUSD, but we move on. So now touching base with USDJPY, so currently from this perspective, we couldn't exactly make a predictive move. A very clear move was, so we had the push to the downside, a push to the upside, and we was waiting for the push to the downside. But if you notice that the price closed above, so therefore we was looking for price to remain inside of this area before going up. Now this 4-hour candle pushed the downside, so therefore we closed, and now we're looking for the downside, right? So we're waiting for price to get back into here, into the yellow zone, and then reject this, so not closing above and then head lower. However, price closed above again, and then we did the repeat. So now we're waiting for price to come back down and reject this level and close above, and which it did. So in theory, you could have waited for that retest again for double confirmation, so 20 odd pips, and see if this could go higher. So you could, however you enter, you could have entered there, likewise, or on the EMA conversion here. A nice 50 odd pips through that. So a late run in USDJPY, but let's see if this momentum continues to the upside. So obviously it's about getting the entry early and holding onto it. So the common theory, letting your profits run whilst cutting your losses short. So that's what we play off on that. So moving on to gold. Now, if you want to look back in the video, I remembered that I was saying that price could touch into this area here, and we could expect wicks to come back here, and then this could act as a rejection level before we head downwards. And I believe that the analysis was based on that I was aiming downwards, so my bias was short. But in this red zone that we got drawn here, I believe I said something like, okay, so price can push and into this zone, and we're waiting for the closure to the downside. However, if that doesn't happen, we could get wicks to the upside in this blue zone here, which is coming from the 13th of August highs that was made. And we could expect wicks to touch here before we entered lower and potentially push lower here. And then the second opportunity in the upcoming video is that we could have made, if prices to close below, we could retest this level and see if we can aim lower. So 1480 is roughly the area we're looking at for, well, we'll discuss that in the actual video. But in terms of profit, if you could have anticipated this zone area and noticed that there was a bearish engulfing candle here plus the retest, could have made roughly about 400 pips on that one move. So that was a very good potential right there. I believe, yeah, and the RSI had an oversold condition as well. So instantly, all marrying up all these conditions helps to justify all the confluences to make your trade. So, you know, the confluences to make a buy or confluences to make a sell. So they're the things that can help a trader to decide on where to go. Now, with Bitcoin, I was unfortunate to not make this call. I saw the breakout and I was waiting for the retest, but little did I know it ran away from me. We had the very minuscule touch here, I believe on a lower time frame. So that could have been the possible retest there. It just depends how you trade on your strategy. But yeah, this took multiple levels and touching our monthly key level at 7735, which is just crazy. Bitcoin is making a lot of dents right now. So yeah, let's see if this can continue going down, but I know that we had not made an entry here, but nonetheless, there will always be another opportunity like that again. Now with Ripple, the same thing happened. Obviously, there's a confluence with Bitcoin. It has a reflection on the altcoins as well. So Ripple had the rejection. We could have made the selling condition here and played off structure highs and structure lows. So if we're in a downtrend, we're looking for lower highs as entry points. So here, here. So it just depends how you play the game, really. So with our analysis here that we presented, it was in a tricky zone right there. So a push to the downside, closure above, push to the downside, closure there. So that could have been the entry point, and just depending on how you'd like to play it, like it could have been on our weekly resistance level, weekly level, or above the EMAs. That could have sent price down and caught that move, really, essentially. But ultimately, the analysis that we presented here did not follow through with our trading plan, so we couldn't get into this. So unfortunately, like I said, we missed this opportunity, great opportunity, but I know that plenty more opportunities will come in the future. So nonetheless, ultimately, I think the pound GBP was probably the most beneficial insight for this week. But we can move on and see what the next week unfolds in terms of market price and market action. So just be prepared for have a look at our videos that we're going to be posting out next. There will be the specific analysis videos, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel just to stay ahead. So you can watch all of our analysis videos. There's only 6 other ones. And for our other entries that we make, we post on our Twitter channel, so Twitter page, sorry, that's at KMTRADERS_. So if you want to have a look at that, see how else we're doing in other areas of the market, go ahead and follow that. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.